All right, so what we're going to do in this next part of this assignment is take the relationships that we've been working with for the last little while and apply them to what we call trig identities. So we're going to start with number 14 here, and notice it all begins with the sine theta is equal to 15 over 13. So what we're going to do is we are going to make a right triangle. So there's our right triangle right there. And we're going to use this relationship with theta, so we're going to call this part theta right there. So sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So that gives us some information. So here's our opposite, here's our hypotenuse. So opposite over hypotenuse, that means we have to find our next side. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem again to find that missing side since it's a right triangle. So hypotenuse squared minus the other leg squared equals our missing leg squared. Square root both sides. So our missing leg is equal to the square root of 13 squared minus 5 squared. So we keep going. That becomes 169. That's 13 squared minus 25, which is 5 squared. Keep going. That means x is equal to the square root of 144. And if we keep going, that gives us our side length of 12. So x equals 12. So our three sides are 13, 5, and 12. So now we have to go over to the other side, the trig identity side, right here. We're going to use our side lengths, 12, 5, and 13, to set up the relationship. So first we're going to start with tangent. Now tangent is always opposite over adjacent, right? And we're still working with theta. So tangent squared would be 5 over 12 squared. This squared here goes on the outside of the parenthesis here. We're going to add that to the secant, which is the hypotenuse, 13, over the adjacent side, which is 12. Okay? So now what we need to do is just simplify this. We could use our calculator, which you're more than welcome to do. But what I'm going to do is say, all right, since 5 squared is 25 and 12 squared is 144, we're going to add that to 13 over 12. Well, what times 144 is, what times 12 is 144, so that's 12. So I multiply the denominator and the numerator by 12 so we can get a common denominator. And that means, or that implies, we get 25 over 144 plus 12 times 13, which would be 12 times 13, 156 over 144. So now we just have to add things together. 25 plus 156 is going to equal 181. And then we keep the denominators if we're adding fractions. So we have our trig identity, tangent squared theta plus secant theta is equal to 181 over 144.